Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our 2020 Vision presentation. There is some work for you to do. So in the chat, can you please say hello and shout out your department or office? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Welcome again, everyone. Hello, hello. Hi, Joan, English, wonderful. We have Rob from Humanities. Welcome, welcome. Uh-oh. And is it Sade or Sadie? It's
Sade.
Yeah.
Named after the singer.
Yeah, that's good. It's very important for me, to say names correctly. And mine is pronounced Ashante. Some people say Ashanti because it has an I, and I get it. Right? Yeah. But welcome Peter from mathematics. Yes, mathematics and my dyscalculia, which I am managing very well, Peter. And we have Millage from Business and Entrepreneurship. Welcome. Oh, Laura is here from PSCE.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, and Dr. Terry is here.
Hello.
Wonderful.
Good afternoon.
Who else is in the room? Good afternoon. As you're coming in, please join in the chat, say hello, and shout out your department and or office. We will get started in 4 minutes. And this is going to be a jam-packed 50-minute session. Woo! I've been practicing. Welcome, Erin. Welcome.
Hello there.
Oh, we have 2 Erins in the building, of course. We have Erin from math, and we have Erin from education. I love it. My boss is in the room, so I'm just turn it up just a little bit more, you know, when your boss comes in the room. And then, oh, so yes, Erin Large from math. I love math. Every other Friday, I love it a little bit more. Love math. All right, so in 3 minutes, we will get started, everyone. Thank you, Tracy, for joining us from College and Career Transitions. And thank you all for selecting this particular session today. I know you had so many great ones to engage in for session 1. So I appreciate your participation and engagement as we talk about engagement today. All right, so if you are just joining us, please put in the chat your name and just say hello to us. Hey, Sharon Green is in the building. Good to see you. And shout out your department or office. And hello, Michael, how are you?
We're asking College and Career Transitions.
To
support you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, they're coming in now. We have Lauren here. Lynn is here. Wonderful. All right, let me check my time. Oh, 1 minute. All right. 1 minute. I remember as a undergraduate student, some classes we had to rush because the professor was at the door, holding the door, ready to close it. So I had to make my way a little faster. All right, we have Anthony here. Anthony, I met Anthony with assessment. The question, will this be about Zoom or Blackboard? And my answer is both, actually. So it's not really about the platform, but the engagement that we'll use through them. So that's a good question. So not one or the other. All right, we're almost there. If you haven't had an opportunity already, please go ahead and place your name. Say hello. When we come into a room, we say hello. So when we come into the virtual room, we want to do the same thing. And it is now 1 o'clock. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Ashante Bryant Foster, and I have the pleasure of serving as the department chair for the education department with the most amazing faculty members and support. Many of you don't know, or you may know, that I think I've been here since August 24th, 2020. And so it has been very eye-opening to learn on the collegiate level. I come from the K-12 era for about 20 years. I've been with the university for several years in part-time capacity. And I'm just super excited about what I have to bring to you and super excited about the support that I've received thus far. So thank you so much. And here we go. So you are here because you want to hear a presentation about engaging while teaching to the boxes. So that, for me, that means that either you have witnessed the boxes or maybe you have been a participant in the boxes. So let's continue and move on and get our outcomes. So today we're going to discover engagement opportunities for your specific course. So as I bring you strategies from my brain, these skills can be transferred to any content area. It's not just education. We just happen to be housed there. We want to reflect upon your current beliefs about engagement, what they are, what they look like, what they don't look like. And I just want to push your thinking just a little bit more around that before we say the students aren't engaged, right? Then we'll practice some engagement activities. And then finally, if I can manage my time correctly, hear some student testimonials, which I'm very excited about. And I did not give them extra credit for. They did it because they wanted to. Okay, so pre-spring 2020, remote classes were not remote. We were on campus, unless your class was already online. We were on the campus, face-to-face, being able to see eyes, being able to point out points of confusion just by looking at students. And they, when you cock your head to the side a little bit and you're like, the what? We were able to note clearly absence or presence of a student. We were able to also see those aha moments actually come alive on their faces as they made the connection and put the skill to application and really developed right before our eyes. These are all of the moments that we had and that we treasure. We were also able to see success, that yes, or that excitement when you passed that paper back, or when you said you went over through the gallery walk, or you passed by their groups and gave them verbal praise. We were able to see all of those pieces. And so I think about what we're missing and how can we, the fact that we treasure this, or at least I do, I treasured all of these moments. I treasured this connection, this human connection that we had with our students. And so the question became, what will it look like in spring 2020 when absolutely everything needed to shut down for the safety of everyone all across the nation and in parts of our world? So will we see these people? Will we see these faces? Yeah, of course. All we need to do is transition from being face-to-face to, getting on the screen, and we'll do the same thing. Well, not quite sure that it ended up that way. Some of us had our first class and we ended up like this lady. Like, what? Who did I just teach? What in the world, right? Because you started to see that they're not going to be turning on their cameras at all. And what you would see actually is black boxes or gray or blue, according to your video conferencing system. And so we started to think about, or at least I started to think, they don't want to do this. They're disengaged. You know, they're not participating. They aren't. You know, they're not with me. They don't hear me. They're not answering me. I can't see them. But I had to think about it beyond I can't see them. And I had to figure out, for me, I'm always the fixer. So I need to figure it out. So I'm not one of that can say, well, we can't do that. I'm the one to say, all right, so how are we going to make it happen? What are we going to change? How will we adjust to make it happen? And so in my research, when I started to think about, okay, now they are just not engaged, and people keep saying, oh, engagement. Well, I found some research stating that, you know what, there are actually different types of engagement. So the type of engagement that we are looking and seeking is usually that behavioral engagement, right? That acting, that talking, that I'm able to see you, to know that you're here and you're present and that you're picking up what I'm putting down. That's that behavioral engagement. But what I challenge you to do, first thing I challenge you to do, it'll be many things, is to not forget that there exists both cognitive and emotional engagement that could be happening and you just are not aware of it. And so we want to honor that. What we want to do is not harp on the behavioral so much, but really give weight to that cognitive and that emotional engagement that could exist. Now, how do we know if it exists? I don't know, because we can't see in other people's brains, but we can provide experiences that will help them output so we can see the deliverables, so we can see what's up here, so we can help you bring it out. And that way we know that you're here and I know that you get it, beyond turning on your camera, beyond speaking out. And so that's what we'll be engaging in today. And I'm very excited about it. Now, I'm also one to, if I don't know the answer, I try not to assume, I ask questions. And so after I spoke with a couple of faculty members and we all agreed nobody's turning on their camera, or it may be one or two, but after those one or two see all the other black boxes, what happens to those other one or two? They go black as well. And we see it in some of our meetings as well. If we really think about it, if we're honest with ourselves, we see it in our own meetings as adults, adult teachers, adult instructors, adult professors. And so I started to think more about, okay, so why don't they turn their cameras on? Is it that they just don't care? Is it that they just don't want to engage? Well, I asked the question, and here were some of those responses. Why don't they turn on their camera? Well, this is what some of my students said. Now, it's also important to know that I teach not only middle college students in a teacher prep program. So that means my students are actually juniors in high school, as well as students of the college. And I also have an opportunity to teach teachers who are working towards teacher certification. So they are teaching right now, as we're sitting here today. Robin is teaching kindergartners virtually in Prince George's County Public Schools right now. And so I asked both populations to keep it fair, right? They said there's uncomfortable showing their home space. You know, they might be a little uncomfortable about that. It's difficult to get a good camera spot. You might not be able to tell, but I'm kind of in the corner, in the basement of my home, because there's 5 other virtual learners all over the place. And this is the only spot that I could get. So I'm grateful to have a spot in my own house. Undetected multitasking. And they were honest. They said, you know, sometimes I'm doing something else. I might have to do my hair first, or I got up late, so I'm not, you know, all the way together. They may be caring for a family member. We may be caring for family members. Sharing space with relatives. Sometimes that gets tough. Their home might not be a traditional home. They may be living in an arrangement that doesn't call for individual time and private time. They may not be able to do that. They may need to travel to a non-traditional area just to access Wi-Fi. They may have a device, but they may need a Wi-Fi or stronger Wi-Fi connection to be able to engage with you. That might be their car. If you speak to my department and my discipline, they know sometimes I need to get in the car to get better Wi-Fi because there's so many people on the Wi-Fi here. They might have a feeling of being judged, their appearance, just being judged in general. And we haven't built a rapport. I can't see you. I'm not sure. I'm like, who are you? Some of them are not dressed for class. Some of them are in the bed, and that's true. Some are, I don't turn my camera on because nobody else has theirs on. Some of you are very diligent about having I've watched you. I'm an observer as well. I've seen you have your cameras on all the time in every meeting. And then there's some who do not, and that's okay. So at some point, it's about being okay with it and moving forward. So now what? And then finally, they may not have a dedicated desk. So they may be working on their bed. They may have to work on in the hallway. There are different pieces and different parameters. It was a very eye-opening conversation that I had with my students. And this is kind of how we opened up one of our days with this conversation. So the idea is that it's not just that they don't care. There are sometimes issues that prevent, or they want to protect a part of their self-esteem, self-awareness by having their camera on. Does that mean they're not learning? Absolutely not. Now, we're going to put a pin right here, and I am going to say to you, if I can hula hoop, which is one of my favorite, I can't wait to the hula hoop activity. I don't know if you all look down, there's a hula hoop person that's going to be coming. I have my weighted hula hoop over there. But if I can hula hoop, cook a full meal, take a shower, go to the grocery store, and all of these things during your class time, and never have to answer anything, and never have to put anything in the chat, and never have to, produce a deliverable, it's sort of like a podcast. And so my question to you is that what you want? Do you want to be a podcast? Because with podcasts, you don't need to see the person anyway, because it's almost like a monologue. I'm speaking, you're listening, and that is our engagement. You by being here today, I know that the answer is no, I don't want to be a podcast. But I need us to think about that as we move forward and share information. How long have I been talking? Have I heard from somebody else yet? Do I know if the students are still with me? Am I meeting their needs? So let's not be a podcast unless your goal is to be a podcast, which you can always do and then front load that for students later. But if you're talking about engagement, that might not be the best tool by itself. So this is what I'm thinking about. I thought about some strategies for us. I'm not sure why my light is off like that. But I thought about some strategies for us to be able to use as we move forward in this presentation. So I've broken it down into strategies so that you can see clearly. Now, I believe that this presentation will be available and being recorded later. So hopefully if you missed something, you can always go back to it, but we do need to keep pace. So strategy 1, see it through and see through it. See it through and see through it. We're talking about 2020 vision. Remember, it doesn't matter if their cameras are on or not. Is it for a punitive measure? Do we want to just make sure that they're there? Or do we really need them on to engage with us? Because we can teach them ways to engage with us where we still don't see them. So we want to focus on active learning and virtual collaboration. Active learning and virtual collaboration. See through it. When I say see through it, and I'm a visual learner anyway, but I started to develop relationships with the students and be able to see what I think they look like. I just see students that I've taught before if I just really need to see someone. And it just really became okay. Because at the end of the day, do I need to see your eyeballs to know that you're picking up the information? Not necessarily. And so once we kind of transfer and see through it, we can see through the boxes to that cognitive and that emotional development that we want to see. So that was strategy 1, see through it and see it through. Strategy 2 goes like this. When students are, or when anybody is being stimulated by so many different things around them, they don't have the luxury of being in 4 walls that maybe have a couple things on the wall, but you are the focus, your work, your instruction, your curriculum is the center of the attention. All the desks are faced this way, you know, that type of environment. That's not where we are. Everyone's is different. And so what I also believe is that our strategy 2 with these common icons have really helped in my class. What I've been able to do is use the icons similar to the ones that you see on the screen to give verbal cues or verbal representation that something is getting ready to happen, right? And so if I see the breakout room, I know I'm not going to go to the bathroom, or I know I need to go ahead and fix myself up, because guess what? I don't know about if this is the same experience for you all, but even though in the whole group, I see black boxes, when I go around to those different groups, those cameras are on. The cameras are on and they are working. And maybe it's because of the level of work, I'm not sure, but they feel more comfortable turning the cameras on in a closed or smaller environment. So that may or may not be your participation. So also, if there is something that you think they need to capture in their notes, put a pencil there, because this is what can happen. And I've seen this happen before with my own learning. You're used to, when you look at a screen, just like the TV in my bedroom, when you look at a screen, you don't look at it usually to write things down. You look at it for entertainment, for enjoyment, for pleasure, for learning, but you don't always think about having something kind of in your hand. So if you're giving them these verbal cues or nonverbal cues, visual cues, nonverbal cues to say, hey, this is something you might need to put in your notes. You're going to need to go ahead and grab that. So Denise wants to know, where would you put these icons in Zoom? These will be actually on the slide. So if you had a slide deck or a slide presentation, you will be able to put those icons directly on whatever that slide or those direction pages are. Good question. And then opportunities to share their audio. Some of them are using different devices. And so it's important also to give them that heads up, like, okay, well, in 5 minutes, we're getting ready to go into breakout rooms, or in 5 minutes, this and that and that. And that gives them time to like, okay, well, let me get out this bed, let me sit up, but we have to get out of the gotcha posture. Prep them so that they can give you what you're looking for. Go ahead and prep them, prep the experience. All right. So that's strategy 2. How about this next strategy? We're doing great on time so far. Now, this is a 10-2-2 strategy, 10-2-2. So this is the way it works. You share information for 10 minutes or less. So I just did that. I just shared some background knowledge and 2 strategies for 10 minutes or less. We say 10 minutes or less because after about 10 minutes, we start to look around, and I start to look at the wall and see that I need to repaint that. And I start to look at, other pieces of my house, because we're in the house as opposed to in the classroom, where you can, redirect and say, okay, everybody come back, blah, blah, blah. A little bit different where we are now. So you share 10 minutes of information, as I just did. And then you give students 2 minutes to reflect or respond. Remember, we talked about active learning and virtual collaboration. Active learning and virtual collaboration. So with that active learning, you pose a question and you allow them to think about it and respond to it. It's either a response or a reflection, one of the two. And then you invite them to then go to a partner or 2 or 3. That could be in the breakout rooms, or that can even be just in the chat. So think, and this is going to be a little education-y for a second. Think, pair, share. All right. So we think about something, we pair up, and then we discuss, we talk about it, that virtual collaboration. You don't have to put them in a breakout room every time you want them to speak to one another. They can actually copy and paste their answer or their response to the question to a specific partner. So you can say, all right, this is how many people we have in the class today. Jamise, you're going to be partners with Kyle. You're going to be partner A, Jamise. Partner B, you're going to be Kyle. We're going to begin by partner A giving your response, then partner B responds to hers, and then partner B gives their response. That's just one example of how we can do that. But again, with 10-2-2, you keep yourself from talking too long and you engage them. You bring in that active thinking and that active learning, because now it's like, pause, what did I just say? What just happened? And you respond to it. Now, not only do I want you to respond after that next 2 minutes, but that follow-up 2 minutes, you get to share with another student. And when they share, someone might say, I went to the bathroom and I'm not even sure what she's talking about. And then the other person can say, oh, okay, well, we talked about this, and boom, and then they're back on track. That's just one more way to heighten the engagement or increase the engagement beyond the boxes. I still haven't talked about seeing a one eye yet, but yet we're still engaged. There was a question from Aaron, and Aaron said, what do you do when you have the same 4 or 5 students that only respond? I'm going to get to that as well. Now, I'm a name caller as well. If I see folks in the room, I'll ask, the same 4 and 5. If you've spoken already, we need to hear more voices in the room. If you didn't already speak, then I also give choices. If you don't want to come off of mute, because it might be super loud where they are and they're doing their best to engage, right? I also say, well, you can go ahead and put it in a private chat as well. So we give choice to that as well. And I say, oh, okay, great. And so that vicarious reinforcement of the whole idea of, okay, Jamise, thank you so much. And you looking like you writing down something, you didn't write down anything, but they see that you are promoting or accelerating, different students for that particular behavioral engagement, but also give the opportunity, if it's only those 4 or 5, give the opportunity for those who don't speak or don't answer one of your questions to ask a question to pose to the group, and they can put that in the chat. And that's just another way to make sure that they're still here and engaged. Thank you for that question. Okay, here's strategy 4. Strategy 4 is one of my, and you'll hear in the testimonials when they say, if they say like choice board, or if they say tic-tac-toe, I am not playing tic-tac-toe with my students, I promise. But this is kind of how it falls into that gamification, which is what they love too. So in choice boards, it's giving the opportunity. Now, let me also say that my classes are almost 3 hours. We meet once a week, which might be different for some of you who meet multiple times a week. So of course, this activity wouldn't be something you would do every time you meet, but it's good sometimes to be able to allow them to run the show. So you do some pre-work. There is some pre-work involved. Sometimes I'll do videos of myself providing the instruction, and I'll put that in one of the boxes. So that's for my visual learner and my audible learner. I'll also have some reading and taking notes, and an opportunity to do that as well. If they choose, they could even choose the order in which they do it. They may want to take the notes, and this is from one of my assessment classes that we use. I think we use this Saturday. They can take the notes, then they can see the video, which I also asked them to take notes on. And then they have an opportunity to interact with different pieces. If you see in the middle, whatever that center activity is that you need everyone to complete, or you think it's beneficial for everyone to do whole group or something like that, that should obviously go in the middle, because they won't bypass that. And I tell them, you know, you have to do this part. And so that helps them, you know, guide whichever way they're going to go after that. So the choice boards, and they'll tell you a little bit more. I don't want to steal their thunder, but they'll tell you a little bit more about how valuable the choice boards are to them. When students know that they are in charge or they get to choose in any way, that heightens the level of engagement as well, because I got to choose. Like, I want to read first, then watch the video. Some people want to watch the video, then read. Some people want to come to my office, come to my breakout room, which was room 7, and catch up with me about something else. So not necessarily office hours, but a point of confusion or content that you just can't get your mind wrapped around yet. So we would have this opportunity, which would be maybe an hour, and then they would be able to come back and we would debrief, go through questions that they may have had. We have different experiences of that nature. So it's not just, here's your choice board and I'm going over and folding clothes. I'm actively engaged in going to their different breakout rooms, seeing what their needs are. I'm listening. When I listen, I bring away some good points so that when we get back in whole group, I'm honoring what they've said. So even if they don't say it out loud, their voice has emerged in the group because you said it. So when you put them in breakout rooms, it's a good idea to go and, you know, kind of hang out and see what you can see and bring back some great things for the good of the group. So you set the times and you allow the learning to happen. This has been extremely valuable for our students, especially those who are teachers already, because they know what they need a little bit more. And so I'm just grateful to be able to experience that with them. So that's strategy 4. Strategy 4. Everybody okay? All right. Now here's strategy 5. And strategy 5, I need to take you out of the presentation to show you some things on my desktop. But strategy 5 is virtual collaboration. So Aaron asked earlier, what about the fact that only 4 or 5 students respond? Well, you can provide experiences and activities that will allow for everyone in the room to do their part. Everybody has to do their part or we won't be great. Okay, so we need everybody to come on board. And so what they'll do is break up into groups perhaps, or it could be individual pieces of work. But the whole idea is to produce a product of their learning. So not just doing something just to do it, of course, but to be a product of their learning. So let me show you what that looks like. Absolutely, Deborah, I totally agree. All right, so let me pull that down and go here. All right, so this is the TED 1200 class. We are learning child growth and development. And don't look yet. Okay, so let me present that. Am I still presenting the slide deck, or what do you see, Ms. Deborah?
Yes, we see the slide deck.
Wonderful. So the task was for each student to claim 3 slides and select 3 words. I went through chapters 1 through 8. So this was probably week 5, I want to say. From chapters 1 through 8. This is a very heavy course. This is a very heavy lift. And so what I was able to do is extract those key terms from the key terms and allow the students to make a collaborative document. And so what they put together using videos, links, memes, they were allowed to change the background, add their voice, photos, anything that would help them identify the term, okay? And so we engaged in this activity. I think they may have had 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. And so what that looked like, so this was an example. I said, this is what you need to do. And I'm just going to go through some of their pieces. Now they have a collaborative slide deck with the key vocabulary that they may need to know, but they have had a deeper understanding of it by working through it on their own and providing it to other members. Now, of course, we have some, some that you can't really see really well, and I'll go back through those. But the big idea is everyone had a part. They put their little GIFs in there. They had an opportunity to really understand and be that particular, look at this one, beautiful, simple, yet to the point. And they really enjoyed this one because then it's not just a regular flashcards. They're really an interactive flashcards that they made on their own. And so again, this is one of those examples of a collaborative. So they put videos here about DNA and how they work. And the only direction I gave them was the template and the directions that you saw on the first screen. And they had the time. I put a timer on and they got to work. Okay, so those are just some examples. That's just one example of a collaborative slide deck. We also have done, so that was my juniors completed that one, but my adults also did one in their area as well. And so again, this could be used as a resource for them once they have the midterm and their final exam and beyond. And one of the things that I share with them is that this course will stay with you forever. And no matter, whether you continue to teaching, which we hope, or not, human growth and development, we are human beings and you will work with a human wherever you are. And so that's just some of their work. Yay. And I was very proud of them for getting that out. And yes, Lynn, using that creativity and being able to demonstrate it how they see it out of their eyes. And now they don't have to necessarily go through that huge book to be able to pick up those key topics. So that's excellent. All right, I'm going to stay right here and present from there to our next strategy. What do you all think about that? Let me know in the chat. That's something that I can do. Not sure how that might work with my group. I'd love a template of that. Say something in the chat. Say something is another strategy, by the way, because there are no barriers and boundaries. We just say something, and it gives them that opportunity to say something. And they're not right or wrong. You just say something. Yes, it did. Yes, I was giving you a preview, Denise. So it did look like it was going pretty quickly. That was an example of their activities. Yes, Lynn. So yes, those. So this might be an activity that you assign, and then they'll come back with that produced work. Since sometimes you have your limited time spaces with that 50-minute block like we have right now. All right. And let's see. Oh, what if students respond poorly to the challenge? Ooh, good question. So because Michael asked that question, I'm going to go and show you, because I used the collaborative document, I'm able to go in and make comments, as you see on the left, on the right side. I'm a dancer, but still don't know my left from my right. And able to give them feedback, which they can then go back in and make the adjustment. Yeah, and I appreciate that, Denise, being willing to try it, because that's what it's really all about. It's really all about coming to spaces like this where we have a common goal of engagement. And even if it's just one tip that you picked up and being able to run with that, that would be wonderful. So these are Google Slides that we are utilizing, but the same could be done with a Microsoft PowerPoint slides as well. And Sanji wanted to know about the use of videos and communicating. Yes. So, and we'll get to that in 1 second. Sanji wanted to know in communications, the students present speeches and they use their phone for recording themselves as well. So you'll see a little bit of evidence of that in a minute. And They just really enjoy, they want to engage, you guys. And I really want you to believe that. I want you to walk away knowing that my students want to be engaged. They want to do this. They want to do this work. Because the sixth strategy is to have fun. You obviously teach this course and you teach at this college because you love it, right? You are engaged, you're passionate about your work, about your content, you know it deeply. You could do this in your sleep, but now we just want to, peel back the onion a little bit and ask the students what they need. I ask my students, what do you need? How may I best serve you? What other questions do I ask them? How can we remix this activity? I always ask them that because their brains are, they are ready. And it doesn't matter what age you are. If you, as a learner, your brain is moving at a different, in a different way because you're assembling and you're analyzing and all of these pieces are happening at the same time as a learner, right? But sometimes as the leader or the facilitator, we come with this package of content and that is all, right? But we have to kind of not be afraid to remix it and ask them how you want it to be remixed. Ask them what they need. We have to have fun. We have to have fun. Okay, so I'm doing so good with time. Okay, great. Not that yet. So I wanted to take an opportunity to show you a few more pieces of engagement that I'm very excited about. And then before we leave, we are going to engage in one more way. Did you notice that before we even started, our engagement started? Before 1 p.m., when you came into the room, you had an activity. I just said, say hi. And how are you doing? That's another way to check in. How are things going? How are classes going? Give me put an emoji in the chat. So they're all different ways in which we can say, how are things going? Y'all all right out there? Without seeing their eyes. We can ask them to give us an emoji in the chat demonstrating how they're feeling this morning. And maybe give you, and then you can really think about, that grace and flexibility that you may provide. We had an opportunity where the students were like, it's so much work, Dr. Ashanti, and it's not just you, it's everybody. And, we're just really behind. And after one person spoke, then everybody else started to have that same sentiment. And I started to think, well, how can I still meet the goal, but be able to do things differently? And so that particular time, we had a discussion board. So here's a little bit more context. We have a program that is dynamic called the Virtual Child, and the students have an opportunity to craft or create a child based on some preliminary information, and they raise the child virtually. So they have to spend a certain amount of time with the child, make different decisions, different scenarios are placed in their lap, and they have to do something about it. Then at different points, I ask them to go to the discussion board and answer a particular question, which is usually about a theory related to wherever their child is in their age. So I felt their anxiety, I felt that pressure, like, ugh, and I knew a discussion board was coming up. So I said, okay, think of my feet, how can I help, how can I help? And this is what I came up with. A Flipgrid. So if you have not ever heard of Flipgrid or participated in a Flipgrid, it's amazing. So my speech friend, my communications friend, I highly suggest since you're already into the recording phase and allowing them to record on their phone and things like that, this can be a house for said videos. So this is what we did. During that week, which is week 7, I said, okay, we're gonna do the virtual child update using Flipgrid. All you need to do is get on your video and talk, right? You give me the name of your child, give us the update. We were into cognitive and social resources they needed to use resources from the text, cite at least 3 pages, and then comment on their classmates' video. Same thing that we would do in a discussion board, but they had an opportunity to do it here. Look at the number of views. Look at the number of views. Jakaya has 20 views. When has your discussion board ever had 20 views? Because and I know that you haven't, because you know what has happened? They put their response and then they put 2 more responses to satisfy that need, and they get up out of there. 20 views. Look at Jamisa's at the bottom. 41 views. That's engagement, and you have not seen a face yet. Now I'm getting excited. Can you tell I'm getting a little elevated? I'm getting excited. So this is what I want to share with you. I just want to share one. I can't remember which one I said. I think it was Amia.
Hi, my name is Ania. My daughter's name is Amaya. She's currently 4 years old. She's about to turn 5. And her home environment is pretty good. We just decided to move. And
okay, so what I also need you to know is this is how I got them to actually do the video, because a lot of them were like, we gotta have our cameras on. Yes. How else will I know that? What are you talking about? Do you have to have your camera on? It's a Flipgrid. But then I said, I disarmed them. I said, well, you do know that you can put an emoji over your face, right? And look, I still haven't seen her face in real life. But the amount of information that they share is amazing. So that is one. I want to show just one more.
Hey guys, my name is Nisma Farner, and my virtual child's name is Bradley. Right now, he's 7 years old. Regarding our home environment, I try to have a positive and balanced lifestyle at home. So my children and I say my children because I have another child. Her name is Cora. We participate in a lot of activities at home. I would read books to them. We would go to the park. We would put together puzzle pieces.
Okay, so you get it. She's going to hit all the points, but they didn't have to write anything. All they needed to do was say, boop, 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 and they could do it from their phone. It looks like she did it from her phone. Some can do it from the computer. It doesn't matter about the environment. You could go outside and do it, and it's done, done, done. And I got the same amount of input, if not more, way more words this way. And some people spoke for 5 minutes, 5 whole minutes, because they were excited about what they had to share about their child. Now here's another piece. You can also comment. And so remember, with the discussion boards, you have to comment to 2 or whatever your mechanism is. And so here, if you scroll down, they have an opportunity to comment. Now my baby is in the bed.
So,
Don't worry about
okay,
it.
you were talking about how the boys have more upper body strength than females at a certain age, and how they're more into sports and things. And I couldn't relate to that with my virtual child, because when around like age maybe 8, that's when they had asked me about like what kind of sports I wanted to put her in. And I tried to put her in like soccer and gymnastics, but she never really stuck to it because she didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And then even when in high school, she had tried out for the cheerleading team.
Okay, so do you see that there is no way that I would have gotten that much response in a discussion board? No way. But that's just 1 week. And they really, really, really appreciated being able to speak freely. So I'm challenging them and pushing them to have that same discourse inside of your discussion board and really say and tell, what you believe, but they see it as a task in the discussion board, but they see it as an opportunity on the Flipgrid. I'm just telling you what they told me. Okay. We have to keep on moving. So Flipgrid, you can either have a Google account or a Microsoft account, and you don't have to have an account to participate, but you can make private groups. Our student learning, our student organization, I'm not sure exactly what the correct name is, but we use the Flipgrid for our student clubs and activities there as well. So that's one piece. Now, as I get ready to close, I get to show you one more piece, and those are student testimonials. What's important for you to know about this also is that I just simply said, hey, anybody want to give a shout out to the engagement that happens in the room? Not a shout out to me, because I'm just, the facilitator, but the engagement of what we're doing. And so you can put in Flipgrid, you can put the assignment right there for them as well. And so we have a few. I think I have enough time to play one, and I'm going to play this one. Yeah. Okay, I'll play this one.
Hello, my name is Malika Jefferson. I am a student of Dr. Ashanti's Saturday class from 8:30 to 12:15. I just want to say that with Dr. Ashanti, Dr. A, Dr. Foster, as we fondly call her any one of those titles in all due respect. With Dr. Foster's class, we are actively engaged in her class by several options. One of the options that we have in her class is that we're able to decide how we want to pace our learning. So for instance, we may have a 9-square box that looks like a tic-tac-toe board, and we're able to decide how we want to start our learning for that particular time frame. For example, that first square may have a video of the topic that we're talking about or discussing that day. So we can start with the video. So that's to help people who like to have the visual and the auditory at the same time, to get those differentiated learning styles for teachers as ourselves who are also students. The second box may have where you can work on your student learning targets. Our in a class project, we had that autonomy to work on that particular assignment. And then the third box may have an opportunity for us to read some literature and to take notes from that literature that we're reading. And so in each box, it's a different opportunity for us to pace our learning. It depends on which way you want to go in that tic-tac-toe box. Also, another option that Dr. Ashanti provides us with is that we have small groups. Say small groups. Small groups. Our small group time is for us to have an intimate setting where a few of our colleagues, peers, we come together and we discuss the topic. We may have a project or activity that we have to work on. We have to brainstorm. We have to come together. That's when we're able to turn on our cameras and come out the black box that we're normally in, and we're able to share with one another. We may have an opportunity to get some ideas, to brainstorm, to try to make our presentation a little bit more appealing and exciting and engaging and better than our other classmates that are in other groups. So we had the opportunity to hear those ideas, to come together, decide, hey, this may work, and everybody has a piece to partake in, to add to the bigger picture of what we had to discuss for that particular topic. And then another option that we have with Dr. Ashanti is that we have icebreakers. We have an opportunity to have a topic that we all can share our thoughts or our experiences, and we're able to chime in. And Dr. Ashanti would say, hey, just chime in, just like popcorn, just pop in. Someone else want to go, we just go. And she gives us that autonomy to be able to participate. So we're kind of like being co-teachers and not just students. And she doesn't believe in doing all the talking. That's where that additional engagement piece come in, where we're able to share out, we're able to ask her questions, we're able to ask our other colleagues questions. So it's not just Dr. Ashanti being the instructor. It's about all of us having a piece of that. It's not just you talk and we're listening and we're writing down. We have this opportunity that everybody has something to offer, and it's always engaging, it's always enlightening, it's always something we can put inside our educational toolbox. So that's how we are engaging in this black screen, in the black box with Dr. Ashanti.
Woo! Malika, she is amazing. So we only have 1 minute left. And although I wanted you to hear from one of the high school students, well, they're in high school and college at the same time, to echo the same sentiment, what I really want to make sure I also do is give you an opportunity here in this good chat to just say one thing. So you can click this link. We have 1 minute. You can click the link in the chat box, and you will be able to Just say one thing. So it may be a question. It may be something you learn. It might be, thanks so much. You went too fast. You went too slow. But say, just give one thing. If you've never used Padlet before, this is another engagement tool, you want to go to the bottom right-hand corner. Once you click the link, there's a pink square. Oh, that's a circle. A pink circle. You click on that, and then you'll be able to share. So I thank you all as you share. I thank you all so very much for your engagement. And I hope that you were at least able to pick up one strategy or re-engage or reignite with one strategy. The link is in the chat. And you can also, oh, I gave it to the wrong person. Okay, sorry. There we go. Thank you, everybody. And unfortunately, we're getting ready to get cut off. So thank you so much. The link, again, is in the chat. You will be able to go in there and just say one thing. One thing, one thing, one thing. Yes. All right. And thank you to my co-host, Deborah Bowles, and all of our behind the scenes folks. I appreciate you.